Before we get into the meat of this educational interview, let's just get really clear on who you are so the viewers can decide if you're worth listening to or if they kind of want to tune out at this point.
Okay.
They can make a decision. So Kyle,
Yeah.
when is the last time someone that you knew pretty well passed away?
Maybe like a year and a half.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. Year and a half. Okay. Now I think we're ready probably.
Oh,
so-
great. Okay.
Great. Today's expert is Kyle Prue. Kyle is a culture maker. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He's a screenwriter, an actor, a comedian. The point is you're a classic multi-hyphenate. So my question for you is doing a lot of things a little bit really just a way to get out of doing one little thing a lot more?
Oh,
On November 1st, 2021, you tweeted, "You're never more than 100 feet away from a woman having the worst hinge date of her life."
yeah.
You're always within 100 feet of a woman?
Well,
Better than always 100 feet within, a child, I guess.
I would agree. Okay.
You're a public figure. You
Sure.
have over 1.7 million followers across platforms. Congratulations
Thank you.
for that. It must come with a lot of hate.
Yes.
Okay, so I wrote down some of the hate comments you've received. Your teeth look incredibly heavy. Someone said they look like tombstones in your mouth. Another one, you have tiny ears, but you've still really accomplished a lot. Like, people are really proud of you for persevering. Are there any other hate comments you'd like to bring up?
There was a period of time where I was receiving a lot of death threats,
Okay.
but nobody had the courage to follow through.
Are you inviting?
Conflict.
Why'd you look into the camera when you said that? That seemed like you're like, bring it on.
I live at 2115
Stop! I cannot be responsible for another human rights violation. This is what other people hate about you. What do you hate the most about yourself? I can kind of help you. Like, something I'm
Sure.
not loving about you. You really have the face of someone who watches Animal Planet for the sex scenes. I don't mean in a bad way. It's just the way you look.
It is kind of the best part of Animal Planet because it is sort of the
Okay,
conclusion. I mean, survival and procreation are sort of the two most important plot points.
Yeah, very good point. And so have you ever had sex?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so, people won't be surprised. You kind of have that little pervert face going. Unrelated, but if you had to eat the ass of an animal, which animal would you choose? Just to give you some inspiration, I chose a bird. Though my producer here, she reminded me that with bird flu, I might.
It's rampant.
Yeah. And that would suck. What if you got bird flu because you ate ass of a bird? That's just like, how are you going to explain that to people?
I do feel like, isn't that how most people get it, perhaps?
I'd believe it. I know people have tried it. Which animal would you choose?
Here's what I'll say. I don't wish to say, but I will say.
Okay.
The pig has the longest orgasm out of any other.
I was thinking I'd pick an animal that wouldn't feel sexualized because I'm not trying to be like making advances on animals personally, but that's interesting you took the opposite approach.
Sure. My publicist is giving me a big
Okay. So
we can
continue.
Completely scrap.
Totally other, let's just move on to something else. This is a little test. I like to do this just to find out what people are really like. So I'm going to say a word and you're going to tell me what word it makes you think of.
Okay.
Okay, lunch.
Sandwich.
Roast beef.
Sandwich.
And we can stop right there because I think of the female anatomy. And I just think it's telling that you never think of women first. That's not the first thing that comes to mind. Someone like me, I hear roast beef, I'm thinking...
And I think of sandwiches.
Okay.
Twice.
So the viewers can kind of decide what they make of that for both of us.
Sure.
Continuing on, you wrote 3 fantasy books, a trilogy of fantasy books.
Yes, I did.
How old were you when you wrote those?
I wrote the first one when I was 16.
Isn't it a little perverted for a 16-year-old to be writing 3 books full of his own fantasies?
Well, it's
Who
not.
wants to read that?
You might be conflating the. It's sort of fantasy is in the genre of mysticism.
Things you wish would happen to you in your body.
No, mysticism. Superpowers.
You've done a lot of work for literacy. You actually started your own anti-illiteracy nonprofit. What makes you so pro-anti-illiteracy?
Well, you could sort of reduce that fraction to just say pro-literacy.
But what do you have against people who are illiterate?
Nothing. I'd like to empower people who are illiterate.
It sounds like you're trying to change them.
We, as a, any nonprofit seeks to change something.
Right.
And we seek to change literacy rates among young people.
Great. Why is reading important?
Reading is important because it connects you to other experiences and knowledge sort of collected in one across time.
But what's something like you've actually learned from a book?
I've learned this recently. There are two different kinds of ways in which evolution affects the way that we live our lives as modern day humans.
Like porn?
Yeah.
Perfect. I love talking about porn. Okay. Something I learned from a book was how to mutilate a dead body. So
Which book?
Oh, I can't share it. If I say it, the audience is going to go read it. You know what I mean? It's like if
Sure.
I was reading Mein Kampf, I'd put a book cover over the top if I was out at a cafe. You know, it's that kind of thing.
You would.
Do you agree that being pro-literacy is the same as being pro-disinformation?
No, I think it's the opposite.
You don't think we'd be better off if no one knew how to think or read?
I think we're getting there, and I don't think the effects have been particularly awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speak for yourself because... Well, let's talk about how to piss off men.
Great.
This is a book that Kyle wrote that's made him a New York Times best-selling author.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are you proud of that?
I am. Yes. Of course.
Okay, great. I have to thank you because before I read this book, I never really understood why governments would want to censor the media. Obviously I understood like the basic things, why they wouldn't want kids looking at naked animals or something like
Sure.
that. And, should they be looking at naked animals? Probably not. But I know I keep bringing the conversation back to animal sex, but it's only because I have an uncle who told me that every conversation can lead back to animal sex if you take it there.
I'm just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Are you advocating for clothing animals? Most of them don't wear any kind of clothing.
I think if they're going to be on TV, put clothes on them. You know what I mean? That's the cost of fame.
Very Hays Code of you.
Yeah, well, it's to protect children from seeing genitals. Sorry that I'm anti-pedophilia, anti-children seeing naked adults, regardless of their species. So I'm hearing, are you pro kids seeing naked adults, is essentially what you're saying?
Adult humans, absolutely not.
Okay.
What do you think about like people who have pets?
Well, most of the time they're clothed, right? Except for when you have to bathe them, of course. I mean, I guess it depends what kind of pet you have.
I grew up with dogs. They.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I'm allergic to cats.
Okay.
And they did not wear.
This was actually a cat factory before this was my office.
This was a cat factory?
Yeah, so you might be in trouble.
They made them here?
It's defurring the cats for to turn into coats.
Oh.
It's hard to explain for people who don't know stuff.
Is that where
about
we get hairless cats from?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
The cat factory. Anyway, I finally understand censorship, I guess.
Yeah.
You described this book yourself as Machiavellian, nefarious, and corrosive.
Did I?
You did.
That makes sense.
Do you think this book should be banned?
Please. Please ban it.
I'm a person who cares about equality. What about you?
Yeah, big fan.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's not true.
Oh.
You wrote a book about how to piss off men.
Yeah.
But what about all the other demographics that also want to be included?
Sure. I mean, somebody once asked me if I would do things you can say to piss off women, and my response was, if you're the kind of person to ask for this, I'm sure everything you do pisses off women.
Well, that's unfortunate you think that because we're going to do that today.
Oh, great.
So,
okay. Yeah, sorry.
at the risk of making it seem like I'm endorsing abuse of women,
Okay.
I'm just going to go ahead and power through.
Okay.
Because I think the boldest act of feminism is just total equality.
Sure.
Punch a girl in the face, if you were going to punch a guy in the face. Would you punch a woman in the face?
No, I would not.
No matter what?
No.
Would you punch a guy in the face?
Depends on the situation.
Well, see, and that's not equality. So it's just so frustrating. Before we get into how to piss off women,
Sure.
I was going to, for the viewers, let's do some highlights from your book. Do you have, off the top of your head, any favorites, or do you want me to pick some out?
Yeah, sure. I have favorites.
Okay, give us some of your favorites.
So if a man's trying to explain crypto to you, you say, "Oh, I get it. It's like Cole's Cash."
One of the ones that obviously I've already mentioned is that you said, tell a man that he looks like he would have been a preemie.
This was said to me.
Okay.
I had a friend of a friend in town, and she said that she thought she could tell that I had been born premature.
Oh, wow.
And people agreed, sort of
Is
unanimously.
it because you had a sort of like...
It's the ears.
Oh, the ears.
Yeah.
Interesting. It could have been, 5 or 6 other things about you.
Sure.
Okay. I feel like one of your other classics is you have the confidence of a much taller man.
Yes.
That's. So now, for how to piss off women. These are all from personal experience.
Sure.
These are things that I have been told that I found really upsetting. And if you want to chime in and with your own things, then please feel free.
You go first, I think.
Okay. You look like the kind of girl who hooks up with guys who have smelly wieners. Just because it's true doesn't mean you have to say it.
I'm so sorry.
I saw an AI construction of the most generic human face, and it looks exactly like you. That one was actually told to my sister. Shout out, Peyton.
Shout out.
Your head is extremely large. Actually, my entire family, we have very large heads. We had a friend come to the lake to hang out, and he got there and he sat down on our boat and looked around at all of our family, and he was like, "You guys have huge heads." And it was true. But he also had a tiny head. So we started calling him Pinhead after that because...
Of course.
Actually, you kind of have a big head too.
Yeah.
Maybe we're related.
Possibly.
Did you have any family immigrate from Germany to Argentina circa 1945 by chance? That you know of?
No, I'm primarily Norwegian.
Lucky you. So as the author of a book with the subtitle Shattering the Male Ego, we need to have a conversation about masculinity, gender, sexism, nothing controversial.
Cool.
So first, do you self-flagellate for being a man?
I do not.
Interesting choice. Have you ever had relations with a woman, pulled her in for, do you know what I mean by, pulled her in for a hug, a kiss? Have you?
Pulled her in?
Yeah. Do you know what that means when I ask that?
Relations.
Yes, of a certain nature, something.
Sure.
Okay, did you enjoy that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've thrown around a woman before. And
I would object to that phrasing.
Okay, I meant in a fun way.
Oh, sure.
But I was curious, in what other ways do you enjoy controlling women's bodies?
With enthusiastic consent.
Interesting choice of words. You know how, for the best self-defense advice, they say you should actually ask your neighborhood pervert because they're kind of on the other side of it,
sure.
Right? So they
know it works.
Exactly. So in that same vein, as a man who has experience exerting control over the bodies of women,
I would object to the phrasing there, but yeah, go ahead.
What advice do you have for women who are dealing with the government trying to control their bodies?
Active revolution.
Okay.
Yeah. Resist, rise, revolt.
Okay. So another man tells women what to do.
It's a suggestion, not a command.
Okay. So let's move on to something less controversial.
Okay.
Do you think that women and minorities of all kinds are in a tough spot right now with all the talk around devaluing DEI?
Yeah.
You really took a long time to answer.
Did I?
You hesitated for a long time. Let's do a replay. Okay, great. So, as a colonial-looking man, what advice do you have for the rest of us as to how we might achieve your level of respect and status in society?
What's colonial looking?
If you look like your face could be put in black and white and put on the dollar bill,
Got it.
I'm gonna call you.
Sure.
You know.
Okay. Yeah.
Colonial
Okay.
looking man.
I'm caught up.
Okay.
Okay.
You even have the hair for it, which is interesting. An interesting aesthetic choice for you, but.
I'm just growing it out.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for the rest of us?
Collective action and empowerment. Community is very important.
Okay.
Acquire platform power and institutional power through lifting each other up.
Okay. So Kyle Prue thinks that Black people, Latino people, any other kind of group you can think of that's maybe a minority in America needs to do a better job with their sense of community. And like I just to get even more specific, like I can't speak for other demographics, but what do you think, say, women or Asians are doing wrong?
I think they're doing great work with the considering the challenges that they're facing.
Okay.
Institutionally.
How do you feel about pregnant women?
In what context?
It's actually a multiple choice question. So.
Okay, go ahead.
A, really good. B, fine. C, neutral. Or D, bad.
I would say B, fine.
Okay. But as a self-proclaimed gender traitor,
Sure.
do you really support women housing fetuses that are male? In some ways, is that worse than being a man, is growing a man? Like, what if you came into contact with Pol Pot's mom?
Uh-huh.
You know Pol Pot?
I know of him.
Okay, Pol
Not
Pot.
personally.
I have a blurb for people who don't know who Pol Pot is, because this is an educational program.
Sure.
Pol Pot was a Cambodian prime minister from 1976 to 1979, and his policies led to the death of around 2 million people, which was 25% of the Cambodian population at the time. He was a not good guy, probably a pervert too, just a guess. What would you have done to Pol Pot's mom? Would you say, abort it? You know, what would your approach be?
I would need more specifics.
Let's talk about the ethics of performance art,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Do you think it's okay for people to pretend to be a demographic that they're not really a part of? Like, would you feel comfortable playing a Black person on a TV show?
No.
So you hate Black people?
No, I believe...
You don't think Black stories should be shared?
I think Black stories should be shared by Black people.
That's a good take. Shared by Black people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's okay for someone who has eaten ass to play a Catholic priest, like yourself?
I have played a priest.
And you have the face of someone who's eaten ass. Would you?
Be a priest?
No. The other one? Someone wants to know.
Who?
I can't say.
Then the answer is maybe.
Someone wrote in.
Someone wrote
Asked
in.
me to ask. So
Well, then I guess the answer to this question, as in most questions, is it depends.
Okay, but whether you've eaten ass or you've licked up, you've done things that Catholic priests cannot do. Is it really appropriate for you to have played a Catholic priest? That's the question. You're turning it into this really sexual thing.
Oh.
It's not about the sexual thing, it's just that's the point about cultural appropriation.
I believe that there is a difference between embodying an experience that you have not had and embodying a story that is not yours to tell.
So you have a story that is yours to tell about mental health.
Can you be more specific?
Well, we'll get into it in a minute.
Okay.
Actually, we're going to get into it right now.
Oh, right now. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So let's talk about Rabbit.
Yeah.
Brilliantly done.
Thank you.
The show, your show,
Yeah.
is about illegal activity and violence. Really, that's the core message.
It includes those things.
Are you hoping it inspires more violence in people's everyday lives?
No. No, I think the violence that is shown within this show is not depicted in a positive light. Sort of a cautionary
I
tale.
felt like extremely inspired by it. As a master of character creation on the writing and performing side, I would love it if we could do a little workshop together,
Sure.
An acting kind of workshop. So we'll do some scenes and you give me some tips.
Great.
So I have a few different scenarios we can embody, and you can choose which of these you prefer to go with.
Great.
First option, you're a porn star, and I'm the director.
Okay.
Second option, I just gave you an STD, but you're a war criminal, so it's, I have complicated feelings, like I'm not that upset about it. Another option, you're Jewish. You're embodying Jesus Christ, and I'm your mother, Mary. And we can start it off by being like, no, Jesus, you can't go play with those other kids, they'll rot your brain, or something like that. Or the last one is, we're both lepers. I kind of went down a biblical rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, they're all really great.
Thank you. It's been a long time.
And there's sort of an active sort of conflict associated with each.
It's important.
I think, yeah, being both lepers sounds kind of interesting to me. I feel like there's a lot that we could do with that.
What is it when you're a leper again? I forgot.
Leprosy is a disease that causes certain parts of your body to degenerate and fall off.
Okay. Great.
As I understand it.
Okay, I'll start the scene. Hi.
Hey, Megan, what's been going on?
That's not my name. And we've known each other for 10 years, so I feel like you should know my name.
My apologies.
What disease do you have again? I forgot.
Leprosy. You have leprosy as well. As far as I understand it.
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I'm totally recovered.
How
I have AIDS. It's transmuted.
So sorry to hear that. Not much.
Well, don't feel bad for me. You don't have to make me feel like shit about it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just I still do have leprosy.
No, you don't. Your doctor told me that you don't.
All right. Okay. So can we pause for just a moment?
Yeah.
I think that maybe a core tenet of improvisation is the idea that we sort of agree on the material reality of what's happening in the scene.
Right.
So if you establish something, I agree with it. We agree
we build on each other's.
Yes.
Okay, let's start over.
Great.
Okay. Oh my God, it's the compulsive liar that lives next door, of course.
Hey, I have leprosy.
Well, wouldn't you like me to believe that? Which limb is falling off most recently? Which one do you not have? Your penis?
It starts in fingers.
Great.
See?
Are you actually missing a finger?
No, I'm just an incredible actor. Boom.
Oh my gosh, that was really jarring.
I went to school.
Oh, I need to take 10. That was really scary for me.
University of Michigan. Go Blue.
Okay, I feel like we've done a good job.
That went really well, I think.
Perfect. Okay.
I will say, yeah, no, great work.
Okay. I really have one last thing. Are you single? Okay. A little birdie told me that a lot of women have crushes on you.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
I can't imagine why. Personally, I find you extremely irritating and just your voice is grating. And like I said, you really have the face of someone who watches Planet Earth for the sex scenes. But, to please the audience, how would you suggest people flirt with you?
I would not suggest it.
Why? You're going to hurt them?
No.
Are you threatening violence to women who come up to you and try to please you?
I am not.
Okay, great. I don't really think there's anything else to say about that. Okay, well that's all I had to talk about.
Oh, great.
I do always like to end by asking if there's any advice you have for me as an interviewer, what's your feedback for me? How was your experience of this interview?
That's a great question.
That's the first time you said that's a great question this entire interview.
Oh, yes.
So that's interesting.
Yes. That maybe leads me to my follow-up, which is I think it's so important when you're interviewing someone for television to make sure people feel comfortable. You okay?
It's fine. Just keep saying.
Maybe longer lead-ins.
Okay. That's good advice. Longer lead-ins. Well, thank you for being here, and I hope you find love. And
oh, thank you. Yes,
Right.
yes. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
You as well.
Wow.
So I just.
Yeah, you can just let yourself out. There's no bathrooms. If you could just leave, that'd be awesome. Okay, thanks.
Great.
Bye.
Okay. Ooh, do you guys validate the parking, or does somebody?
No.
Oh.